Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to bud.
I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff?
The child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss. Is there something wrong with that?
Damn.
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my neck.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
Zoe Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
People throughout the world are seeking comfort, but not understanding. And as long as they seek comfort, they will never find spiritual comfort, because behind it, there is no true understanding of life. And for the understanding of life, you require harmony. For the establishment of harmony, you require no binding or limitation on life.
People are always seeking comfort, right? Where there is this constant search for comfort and peace, that tells us about what's inside. There is chaos on the inside, which is why you seek comfort on the outside. Again, everybody knows how to take what someone says, somebody profound or wise or whatever, take what they say and turn it into a cliche, right? You got the most important relationship to have is one with yourself. It doesn't mean just being with yourself. It means dealing with yourself. It means reconciling what's within you, right? I've been telling you guys, where there is a wound, there will be a need for supply. Where there's a need is supply. Where there is need indicates lack. And this is what I keep trying to tell people. We put all of the onus on our partner. Men are, in many cases, and let's just be honest, I'm a brother and I've gone through it. I know what it is. I got uncles, I got brothers. I know what it is, okay? Men in this society think being a man has more to do with being in control of others, providing and protecting, being in control of others. But when we sit down and you start to deconstruct the manhood facade, you find out it's a mess inside most men, myself included, right? Why is it a mess? Because of something we modeled in childhood. Do you understand? Something was missing. But all we had to lean on in this society is what? Man, if you get money, it don't matter what kind of mess is inside of you. Look at Diddy, billionaire, but on the inside, a mess. Do you understand what I'm saying? We've been taught to lead with our wallets, not with our presence, not with our developed character and integrity. There are people who saw more character in me than I saw in myself years ago. People were like, bruh, do you know? Nah, I don't know. But that's something that as a man you have to come to understand. And what I'm saying is, wherever there is an unhealed wound, there will be a demand for supply. There will be supply and demand. I need this, I need this, I need this. Many men get money get situated, and then go try to date their mothers. My mama used to cook for me every day. She used to cook breakfast. She used to make this special kind of chicken sausage. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Sisters, you start believing in the objectification and then start putting your power on a timeline that's based on how long you're beautiful. Standards are high when you're beautiful because you can barter. You get what I'm saying? You can position yourself. But as the clock starts ticking, in many cases, there have been sisters that say, you know what, I need to lower the standards now because I don't have the same market value. This goes back to the great Krishnamurti. It is no measure of health to be fully integrated into a sick society. Do you see what I'm saying? So now, this society has told you, accumulate, get. The more you get, the more valuable you are. And what I'm saying is, the more you leave those wounds unconfronted by your empathy, by your non-judgmental observation, the more you leave your wounds, right, unattended, they're going to create supply. My mama didn't give me attention, so I need it from the person I love. My mama didn't validate me, so I need it from the person I love. So you become self-love deficient, SLD, right? Which is just a euphemism that Ross Rosenberg made up for codependent, right? You don't know your attachment style, anxious, preoccupied, whatever it may be. And so you go out into the world and you try to interact and relate, not knowing your demands are coming from your wounds, which you modeled in childhood, right? And just like a narcissist, those wounds need a constant supply in order for you to feel valued in the relationship. Constantly denying one's own needs in favor of a partner's desires is a form of self-betrayal. While self-sacrifice is often romanticized, as echoed in the teachings of many spiritual traditions, including those of Jesus Christ and the Buddha, it can lead to unhealthy imbalance in one's life. Eckhart Tolle, in his work, right, on presence and self-awareness, argues that true love cannot flourish where there is a denial of the self. The concept of putting on your oxygen mask before assisting others, often cited in psychological and self-help literature, illustrates this point. Without attending to your own needs, we are ill-equipped to meet the needs of others, leading to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Now, go deeper. Don't attend, this is Zoe Williams, don't attend to your own wounds until you start the healing process. Because if you attend to your own wounds from an unhealed space, you're going to make yourself sicker. You're going to become a narcissist. You're going to become self-centered. You're going to become jaded. You're going to become forever wounded. Do you understand? When one's partner, right, when their needs are consistently prioritized over the others, resentment inevitably builds. As Babette Rothschild and Ross Rosenberg have explained, this dynamic can lead to codependency, where one's partner's self-worth becomes entangled with the approval and the satisfaction of the other. The ultimate responsibility for emotional fulfillment lies with the individual, not with the partner, as Thomas Campbell's theory of consciousness, My Big Toe, suggests. Personal growth and fulfillment are inner processes that cannot be outsourced to another. But you can't do it. You can't deal with yourself from an unhealed space. What happens when you deal with yourself from an unhealed space? Many of you have done it before. Negative self-talk. I was sitting with a brother the other day. He said, man, if I treated other people the way I treat myself, if I spoke to other people the way I speak to myself, I was sitting in the chairman's cigar lounge with him. Right? He said, he said, I'm worse on me than anybody. You cannot start the healing process by beating yourself up. You start the healing process, which is a forever process, which is a self-knowledge revelation machine, right? You start that process by what we like to call, listen to what I'm finna do to y'all. Are y'all ready for another? We're going to hear it somewhere. Somebody going to be on TV talking about it. Here's a concept for you. You start the healing process with something that has been called self-care. I don't like the term care because the word care means wounded, it means hurt, it means pain. Self-care. We're going to call it self-reciprocity. When you start to reciprocate back to the most important relationship you've ever had, self-reciprocity. When you look at the wounds and those who help create those wounds with empathy, with a non-judgmental stare and gaze, a welcoming gaze, it's okay for you to be here. That's why most of us can't forgive a parent who hurt us. Most of us can't forgive a parent that broke us in some way. Do you understand? When you, this is self-reciprocity. That's what I'm calling. I'm not calling it self-care. It's self-reciprocity. When you start to give to yourself, you ain't got to ask the external representative of yourself to give. You will have magnetized giving into your life because you are the manifestation of giving. You're not the beggar waiting to be given to. What kind of beggar? Spiritual beggar. I didn't get it from my mama. I need to get it from my lover. Through an expectation that was authored by an unhealed wound. And when I get into the relationship with these people, they got to keep giving to the wound or I get to devalue them in much the same way a narcissist does. Well, you remember you used to, and I remember when we started, this is how you were, and no. Self-reciprocity is the healing process that we got to get into. Remember what I said. Start working on yourself when you get to a state of neutrality. What do you mean, working on yourself when you get to a state of neutrality? Well, the state of neutrality for you is the entrance for an intimate relationship with someone else. What do you mean? The state of neutrality. I no longer feel negative about what I went through. I no longer have resentment from how I was raised and how I was modeled or what I model. I no longer have judgment and condemnation or blame for myself. Do you see? See, if you're dealing with a person that has yet to do this, there will be a needs hierarchy in your relationship. Their needs will supersede yours. And you will be judged if you do not bend the knee to their needs demands. What are some of their needs demands? Simple. Whatever they didn't get. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. Oh, you heal yourself. Self-reciprocity. Start seeing yourself without judgment. Start hearing your own, start hearing the complaints of your wounds without trying to run away from it. Without trying to judge the wound. Just hear the wound out. The wound wants to say, I don't like my mama for what she did. I don't like what she didn't show up. Okay. My daddy provided everything, but I didn't know him emotionally. I don't like what my dad did with my mother. Just hear the wound out. No judgment. It's the same process as meditation. And now you're starting to see clinicians are also using mindfulness, which is an extension of meditation. Negative thoughts are going to rush in, let them come in and let them roll out. They come in like the tide, they roll out like the tide. Don't judge them. You judge them, you hold on to the wave that's supposed to recede back into the ocean of thought. Self-reciprocity. Give yourself what you thought they were supposed to give you. Well, I didn't have no examples. Go find an example and use it as what? A mentor. What is a mentor but the finished image of what you'd like to be? Right? Typically, the mentor is somewhere along the path further than you. A mentor is the grown-up image of what you'd like to be. You can see it in business, but you can't see it in relationship. Go get an example of what you didn't model. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Huh? Hey, listen, I want y'all to get this. Ultimately, a healthy relationship requires a balance between self-care, self-reciprocity, and the care of others. As Paramahansa Yogananda and Sri Yukteswar taught, true love is not about self-sacrifice, but about self-realization. By recognizing and addressing our unhealed wounds, we can transcend the selfish tendencies that create a hierarchy of needs in our relationship. In doing so, we create a space, a safe space, where both partners can thrive, where love is not a battle for dominance, but a dance of mutuality, mutual respect and understanding. You can't get mutual until you get neutral. Neutral on how you feel about what made you who you are. When I come forward, the voice of reason, going back to the phone lines. Let's get it.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
See us in the club, just show a little love, represent your side like me. 'Cause round here, if you slip, you get your hot one. One shot, a couple of them down one. Belvedere in the rear of the club, pulled up on dubs, and we about to go and buy the bar up. So for sure we ain't playing, hang with no lames, walk insane. Hey, where the party at? Girls is on the way, where the Bacardi at? Yes, we do. Models and models talking all of that.
Hey guys, I'm Heidi Priebe. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. Today we are talking about a term that I call self-neutrality. So I want to be clear from the get-go, if you Google the word self-neutrality, I think you get about 25 different definitions of it. And in this video, I will be referencing absolutely no external definitions of this term. In this video, I will just be using it to describe a particular frame of reference that I like to turn to when I'm struggling with the concept of self-love. So if you are on any type of journey when it comes to your self-identity, your self-concept, your attachment style, whatever it is, something most of us hear very frequently is that we need to love ourselves. And while that is a wonderful sentiment, and I truly believe it is a very achievable end goal for almost anyone, there are a lot of steps in between where most of us are starting and self-love. I remember years ago when I started doing this work, I would hear that all the time, like love yourself, accept yourself. And I would just go, okay, but how? Like, what does that mean? And so at the time, I developed what was a middle ground for myself that I think could be helpful for a lot of people, which is the concept of self-neutrality. Now, in order to understand what self-neutrality is, I'm first going to explain what it is not. Those of us who grew up with either fairly significant insecure attachment patterning, so that means patterns of thought and behavior that rest on the assumption that some part of one's own authentic experience of the self is shameful, wrong, or bad, and needs to be hidden, distorted, or done away with in order to stay in relationship with others. Or anyone who, for whatever reason, developed a shame-bound identity. So last week I put out a video called Toxic Shame, what it is and how to heal from it, which I will link in the description of this video. And to have a shame-bound identity or to be insecurely attached, in my opinion, are kind of two different terms for the same thing. But in any case, what I'm getting at here is that if, for whatever reason, you developed the belief about yourself that there is something wrong with you, that you are flawed or broken or not like other people at your core, you are likely struggling with what someone like John Bradshaw, who is a brilliant shame researcher, would call a shame-bound identity. So the belief that something about the real you has something deeply wrong with it. Now, the problem is if you develop a shame-bound identity, that belief that something is intrinsically wrong with you, it becomes very difficult to function in the world. We need a sense of self-esteem and a sense of self-worth, even if it is contrived and inauthentic, in order to keep ourselves psychologically well enough to remain alive. So to balance out that sense of extreme shame, we have to develop compensatory mechanisms for making ourselves feel okay. Those might look like developing an ego self. So thinking of ourselves as particularly cool, interesting, better than other people, more intellectual, more intelligent, whatever it is that allows us to distance ourselves from that feeling of shame that we have at our core. Or it can mean developing an ego around how pure and innocent and good you are and how you have never done anything to hurt anybody else. And if something goes wrong in your relationships, it must be the other person because you have perfectly pure intentions. Or it could look like leaning into what you believe is your inner badness and developing a persona about how rebellious and different you are. Whatever.
Self-neutrality. I love it. It's my first time hearing it. We got to shout out Attila from Houston, Texas. She the one sent me this video. I need to start listening to the videos before the show. That was good. No, I like to not listen to the video before the show. I like to be surprised at what they say. Whoa, self-neutrality. That's like self-reciprocity. Man, we on that. This is deep tonight. This is really good tonight. Hey, Cece from Brooklyn, New York. Call back, Cece. I know New Yorkers are impatient. Cece, get back on the line. Cece from Brooklyn, New York. We don't hear from Brooklyn that often. We get New York. You know what I'm saying? We get New York. We get the city. We get Manhattan. You know what I mean? We don't get Brooklyn that often. BK, get up in here. 1-800-920-1580. Let me get Attila from Houston, Texas back on the line. Attila, what are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Oh, man. So many things. When I was sitting here waiting and pontificating on what the heck I was going to talk about, I actually thought about something that my mom used to tell me all the time, which is that a man who is a friend to all is a friend to none.
Ooh.
And I think yeah, my mom was real like that. But I think to add to that, I would say a man who is a friend to all is an enemy to himself.
Stay right there. Don't go nowhere. Don't stay right there. When we come forward, more from Attila. She about to cook. And Cece, get back in here.
Brooklyn, we go hard. We go hard. We go hard.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Sentencing is being postponed for a Toledo, Ohio civil rights activist who has been convicted of misusing funds. Sir Major Page was arrested in 2020 after he misused money donated to a group called Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. Authorities say Page used the funds to purchase luxury clothing, a house, drinks at bars and nightclubs, firearms, and more. Page has been found guilty of wire fraud and money laundering and was scheduled to be sentenced on Monday. However, his sentencing has been postponed to the beginning of October. He faces 7 years in prison. A St. Louis barbecue festival is being canceled less than 2 weeks before it was supposed to start. Organizers announced that Q in the Lou will not take place this year. The reasons for canceling the event included low VIP ticket sales and a lack of corporate sponsors. In a statement, Black Mayor Tashara Jones' office expressed disappointment at Q in the Lou being canceled and encouraged the event to return next year. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Have you or a loved one been impacted by the justice system and are looking for resources? Call the Justice Connect Support Center at 833-LACJ-COD. That's 833-522-5263 or visit justiceconnect.org for more information.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here's what happens when you advertise on KBLA Talk 1580.
3, possibly 4 weeks ago, I heard an advertisement on your radio station from a company called Grid Solar. I would love to have that phone number so I can reach out to them with reference to solar panels being installed on my property.
Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted Black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to put. If we're the ones disproportionately impacted by these climate catastrophes,
why should we be silent?
Turning up the volume all year long on the climate conversation for KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, They host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Recognize the influence of reciprocity. What it is. Reciprocity is a social norm where people feel obligated to return favors or concessions. Manipulators often use this principle to gain compliance by giving something in return for something larger. Why it matters. By leveraging reciprocity, manipulators can create a sense of indebtedness, making it harder for you to refuse their demands. How to guard against it. Be aware of situations where someone is offering something with the expectation of a return. Evaluate the request or favor independently of the initial gesture and decide if it aligns with your own interests.
That was a Jewel. I think obligation is the problem, but okay. Be what you want. Be it first. You'll start to realize, man, I'm starting to want less things. Things I don't want too much when I'm the thing I covet, right? Attila from Houston, Texas. Attila, get back in here because you was getting ready to cook. Let's go. Come on, Attila.
Yes. So what I was saying was that a friend to all is a friend to none, like my mom used to say. But I would add to that, a friend to all is an enemy to oneself. Mm-hmm. And I think in line with what we're talking about, that need for recognition and validation is going to take precedence over your authenticity. And I think if you don't have authenticity, you can't have neutrality. It's not possible.
So would you say authenticity is kind of like self-knowledge? Right? Because
sure.
You can't be true to yourself unless you know yourself, right?
I would add a component to that and say self-knowledge, but also the comfortability with expressing the knowledge of who you are. There's no shame or guilt attached to it. And I think that's something that we all have to really work towards because, if you're not even comfortable with your own truth, you can't expect someone else to be comfortable with it.
See, you've just revealed layers to the process. So in the process of getting comfortable or getting to know oneself, then after you know yourself, you got to get comfortable with expressing who you are. Because that's another process altogether, right?
Absolutely. I would say it's critical and crucial to do so because, when you're in this walk and you're alone, I think it's very easy to say, well, I'm very comfortable with myself. I'm confident. And you're not really in a proving ground. You're your own sounding board. So I think being able to be comfortable with another or with several others in a social context is your test, your classroom.
This is good. Now, how does all of this tie into the concept that we just heard in the video about the clip that we played, self-neutrality?
Right. So I think when she talks about self-neutrality, I think what I kind of got from that was that in order to be neutral with yourself, it is to be in love with yourself in a sense, like in a not in like a weird way, obviously, but like in a kind of like I was talking about the comfortability, in an authentic sense.
But you know, you know what this is doing. My mind is going because now you have, in order to be in love with yourself, you have to be. What'd you say? Comfortable. All right. So now I'm looking at Dr. Hawking's consciousness grid, and if you're in shame, if shame consciousness, you're not comfortable with yourself. Guilt consciousness, you're not comfortable with yourself. Apathy consciousness, you're not comfortable with. Right? So we're looking at these lower levels of consciousness, and it's almost, it goes back to that old saying. I don't know who said it. I heard Dick Gregory say it. He says, where there is fear, love can exist. So if people are in this fear-based mindset, right, and guilt, fear, and shame, and all of these places, they really can't love themselves. So they can't even be neutral when looking at themselves. Is that what she was alluding to in her point?
I would say that's pretty accurate, yes. It's kind of like, what that actually brought to me, too, since you're bringing that up, that also kind of, that's the observe. What is it? Ross Rosenberg says, observe, don't absorb. Christian Murphy would say, observe without judgment.
Wait, Ross Rosenberg says, observe, but don't absorb. Krishnamurti says, observe without judgment. The highest form of intelligence is to be able to observe without judgment. So would you say that the lower levels of consciousness cause us to not only judge ourselves, which is, that's the first person we judge is ourselves. When somebody is abused, they tend to say it was my fault. You get what I'm saying? So when we're judging ourselves, are you saying it's almost a foregone conclusion that we may in fact carry that critical judgment that we have for ourselves into the intimate relationship, or do we mask the judgment we have for others?
So then I would say that would depend on the person and also your attachment style. I believe, for example, you would see a dismissive or even a fearful who leans dismissive, their judgment would be pretty pronounced, hence the ick, right? I believe that someone who is anxiously attached can have that same level of judgment and even, dare I say it, condescension. I would never do that type thing. But it's hidden. It's maybe a little bit more covert, and it doesn't come out until triggered. So that's why I think some of the interactions in terms of fearful avoidance or dismissive avoidance and anxious preoccupiers can be so explosive because there's a repression. Or suppression, sorry.
No, this is good. This is good, girl. Hey, she's on fire tonight. So back to, because we've covered such this rich tapestry of conversation here. The needs hierarchy. And I'm positing that when you're wounded, you're going to prioritize your needs over your partner's needs. And you might not even do this consciously. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have you seen people do that? Do you recognize something like this in yourself? What are your thoughts on that idea?
Absolutely, 100%. I've done it. I've seen other people do it. To give you an example, I think of how that has played out for me is trauma dumping and maybe oversharing.
Talk to me. Explain.
Right.
What is trauma dumping? My God.
Yes. So when you're going through it, let's say you're in the midst of something that is particularly toxic or just not healthy, and I think it's something we all do. We've normalized it, calling a family member or a friend and kind of expelling that whatever's going on with you to them, to whoever the third party is. And I think the reason why this can be so detrimental is because For one, you're not, usually when we're in that state, we're not actually calling to get any help. We're not calling to get insight. We're calling to dump and unload the feelings that we have inside on someone else. We even have words like blowing off steam. And so, yeah, I would say that's how it's shown up on my life on both ends. I've done it and I've seen other people do this. And it does connect in the sense that I don't remember being in that state, in that moment thinking, well, what does the other person on the other end of hearing this feel about what I'm saying? But that wasn't going through my mind. You know what I mean?
Right. But isn't it a good thing to be able to blow off steam and not have to take that back to your partner? I'm trying to understand. It might be negative if you're always going to this person, right? To let it out.
Correct.
Okay. All right. We flowing. I'm understanding. So, how does one get to a point? Listen to what I'm about to say, because I think this is a big issue. How do we get to a point of mutual respect for each other's needs, knowing that, okay, the need is coming from this sense of lack, which is authored by this unhealed wound, which is part of the human process? How? Because this, and I'm making it more complex than it really is. It's really asking the question: how do we have this mutual respect, understanding that we're both flawed human beings?
Ugh. I mean, you'd have to respect that within yourself first. For me, the hardest part about what you were talking about has been not taking things personally. And because I have yet to really be able to master that, I think it makes a lot of my relationships harder than what they need to be. Because once you start to take things personally, you're no longer really hearing from the heart. You're hearing from your head and analyzing and, overreacting, egos, that whole sort of thing. So I think recognizing that the things that are occurring, whether that's positive interactions, even, or the negative ones that maybe a person lashes out or whatever, they get triggered, it's not personal.
This is deep. Did you know your head can be hijacked by an unhealed wound? Where do you think domestic violence comes from? Right? Where do you think these explosive, arguments come from? That wound has hijacked your mind. Right?
I'll add to it even. That's living with a narcissistic parent.
Oof.
That is, I think, fully operating in a form of fearful avoidance and cognitive dissonance and dissociation.
Wait, stay with me.
Because
don't
you're
leave.
in survival.
Stay right there, because I want you to go back to the survival point. We're cognitive dissonance and the survival. Stay right there. When we come forward, back to Houston, Texas, we cook it.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
I joined the military for my kid and his mom. I miss my son a lot. One of the things with the military is tobacco, but that's how a lot of people try to deal with mental issues. Everyone's vaping constantly. After my first hit of a vape, I was hooked like that. Once I got back home from my deployment, I caught my son trying to hit my vape. That was it. I had to quit.
Isaiah started vaping to try to deal with stress and quit because of his son. Learn how he and other Californians are rising above big tobacco. at undo.org.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees. Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You know you want some more. More. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nothing is promised to me and you, so why will we let this thing go? Maybe I promise that I'll stay true. Don't let nobody say it ain't so. And baby, I promise that I'll never leave, and everything will be alright. I promise these things to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of reason back in the building. Man, we got Attila Phillips on the line, and my goodness, Houston, Texas is on fire, man. They say out of the mouths of babes. Let's hear it. Attila, what are your final thoughts? You were right on the precipice of saying something monumental. Let's get it.
See, I got this thing that I inherited from my uncle where I be forgetting what I said.
You said something.
And it was something
you was survival mode. That's where you left off.
Something about survival mode and cognitive dissonance, child. Listen. I mean, okay, so in regards to this, though, yeah, anytime I've been in, like, survival mode, I have had to engage in some cognitive dissonance. So I'm sure everybody's probably like, what the heck is that? When we're talking about cognitive dissonance, that ability to know there's something that you need to do or something that you are doing that you need to stop, whatever, and you are purposely going on as if that is not the case. I would say that's like the crux of survival mode, which is the crux of all of the consciousness levels below 250. Well, really below, what was it, 200? I can't remember. I got to look at the thing.
Yeah, but 250 is neutrality. And everything below neutrality, it starts to get progressively, more problematic. So from shame, grief, apathy, guilt, fear, pride, anger, pride. Yeah. You're right. And, then you can move up. And we're referencing Dr. David R. Hawkins, his book, Power versus Force. He has so many different books. Power versus Force is the one that I was introduced to, and then I went and bought about 20 others. But he has a grid he has a grid, right? And that grid is what he created called the map of consciousness grid. And it's based on the science of kinesiology. When you're telling the truth, the body gets stronger. When you're lying, the body gets weaker. And he was able to use this grid to break down the consciousness grid. So what you're seeing in levels of consciousness, at the bottom is, what is it? Shame, then grief, right? And then it goes all the way up to 1,000, and he says, well, Jesus is at 1,000 at the highest. Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, they're at the top of the tippy top of the consciousness grid. And he says so much consciousness is at the 1,000 mark that energy could barely be contained in a body, which is why they say those guys didn't stay in physical form that long. The median point is what he calls neutrality, and that's at 250. Make sense? Did we clarify that?
Yes. Yes, I have the visual. I just didn't feel like looking. But I will say though, I'm loving this topic, and I don't really have a whole lot to add. I think the closest thing I've been able to even get to neutral is to learn to even detach in the first place. So it's a progress. Work in progress, I guess.
Well, we love it. Guess what you just did?
Brought Houston in the building.
Houston, Texas is in the building. If you ever want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. Truemonger just provided us with the consciousness grid numerical values. 200 is courage. 250 is neutral or neutrality, and 310 is willingness. And these are levels of consciousness that he gave a numerical value to based on his system using kinesiology. And all I'm saying is 310 is real high when, if you're reading his work, in several of his books, he's done research where he said everybody on the planet Earth is vibrating at the consciousness level of fear. The consciousness level of fear. And that's 100. So to even get to willingness is 310. Neutrality is 250. Courage is 200, right? When we're looking at, what in the world? That is a leap from fear, which is at 100. That is a leap from fear. Heavy stuff, man. Listen, I start these conversations, but it's really up to you to finish them. We had a great little low-key verses going on tonight between New Edition and Jagged Edge, and I thought it was an interesting. New Edition is the blueprint for all of these other groups, so it's kind of hard to give Jagged Edge any type of edge over New Edition. You just can't. There's no way. They don't. That's kind of like Tank talking about Michael Jackson and Chris Brown. Like, if you don't knock it off, knock it off. Anyway, I love y'all. I'll be back tomorrow with another slapper. You already know what it is. The voice of reason on fire every night. Let's get it.
For an episode. Come on, baby. Ooh, yeah. Let's spend an hour in the shower when it's nice and wet. I'm ready for your love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thanks for joining us. I'm